Abacurse. If the pliers could swim, they'd mate with the crab. Metal on meat, pincher on screw. The pliers are players. If the crab could do math, it would purchase those pearls right from your neck and wrong from the shell. To count is to cost. All metaphors are mixed, and strings must be pulled. If love is a puppet, then resemblance is a bruise.
Hieroglyph. Still more, his legs were marked as if a parcel of dark green frogs were running up the trunks of young palms. Herman Melville, Moby Dick. Queequeg with wings and a brown harpoon. Its body is a text, a living parchment, a wondrous work, as Ishmael says in one volume. Look at how it turns the pages of air, that other hieroglyph. The flower as whale, its nectar lights the gardens of New Bedford. Bee balm, trumpet creeper, columbine, sugar mommies, one and all. Ishmael again, the cannibal never cringed and never had a creditor. Its heart works under and over time, from torpor to frantic calm. A metabolic marvel, 1,260 heartbeats per minute. Surely it needs a cardiologist. I too have tachycardia and hover above my food. Staring at this dead bird, I think that memory, like flight, is a stillness born of movement. Scientists speak of a plant-bird mutualistic network. Picture Queequeg and Ishmael in bed, their bodies entangled, or the artist and her subject, an oily pair. They wing it with eyes.
Failure strain. How not to think of astral bodies. The smaller ball, moved to the larger without its sun, though clearly something illuminates both. It's as if an office worker had become an astronaut and shot her own blue marble some 18,000 miles from the copier. She has perspective on her job and life, a kind of whole earth image, and an accompanying sense of weightlessness. If only wedding vans were made of rubber, if only her husband wouldn't drink. In 1845, Englishman Stephen Perry patented this peculiar fastener. He'd seen his morning paper fall apart in wind, scattering stories full of woe, disassembling. Keep it together, he told himself.
Hematoma. A week after the surgery, blood collected in my stomach like flies. Let's say, at a meat processing facility. I was the ball whose stitching then burst. There, I connected the two. At St. Margaret's Elementary, a teacher claims that puns were unforgivable, a mortal sin in the Church of Language. As proud as the devil, they make a terrible racket. Buzz. Should I have played ping pong so soon after the surgery? Should I have told the doctor? A fly ball is almost always caught, but a fly? There are just too many of them. Behold, the squadron of paratroopers descending into battle, an insect Normandy. Your mitt is your gun. What do you think? Did I live?
Dollar. In the hand game, rock, paper, scissors, each object or sign has an Achilles heel. The gods do not allow complete invulnerability. Even apex predators must fear. The scissors slash the paper but are crushed by the rock. The paper covers the rock but is slashed by the scissors. The rock crushes the scissors but is covered by the paper. Round and round we go until the vanquishing stops. Call it musical snares. 3 rocks in a row is an avalanche. 3 papers, a bureaucrat. 7 scissors in a row is a guillotine. 7 papers, a Bible. The game dates back to the Han Dynasty, some 2,200 years ago. It was a way of drawing lots. Who shall enter the cave with pythons? Who shall dig the village well? Who shall marry the wealthy, yet unattractive, widower? What we teach our children. They must compete for a punishment or prize that is awarded randomly. Paper now covers everything, and scissors slash responsibility. Let's play dragon, dollar, shell instead. Let's erect a sand economy. The sea believes in socialism.
Thaw. The gloves hold the bird, and the blanket keeps the absent arms warm. In this version of Phantom Limb Syndrome, the artist feels the branch on which the bird once perched. She also hears its song, which made coffee on the back deck what it was in its fullness. The bird was coffee, and the branch its saucer. In a field of relation, the eye must be polymorphous. Yet today, art seems just another kind of cryonics, superior and removed. It can survive the warmth a sudden derecho brings. My son described it as an oven with wind. For 9 days the power failed, and all her animals thawed, each in a cardboard casket, sodden and collapsing. Like food, they had to be discarded. People bring dead things to her and expect what? Beauty's triumph, bitter as it may be, sorrow's transmutation.
Flare. So the tree's the shore, and the wind's the waves. The berries move across the sand. But wait, the sand is green. They look like sunburned preemies on a neonatal unit, each hooked up to oxygen. Let's listen to them sleep. Thoreau decried their harsh taste. It's the saunterer's apple, he said. Not even the saunterer can eat in the house. But sour gives birth to sweet. As in marriage, every apple tree needs its curmudgeon. When it smiles, these come. The crustacean is said to have a crooked or wayward gait, hence the Middle English word, crabbed. From disability, we language users leapt to mood, to constitution. Think of this poem as a ship captain's humble flare.
Interim. It could almost be a nest, or what's become of a nest. What is home, anyway, but a pile of leaves with a provisional shape? A few twigs to suggest a structure in which care, or its lack, might happen. A home unraveled is far better than one from which you can't escape. Somebody yesterday asked for my title. My title? I'm Interim Ralph, I said. I have no plans for permanency. Once, as a boy, 90 pounds and barely 11, having stripped for a beating, I bolted into the woods. I hid behind trees and then moved to the swamp, knowing my father wouldn't follow. The mosquitoes that night sang to me. In the morning, I tried to scratch myself away. My hand an eraser, my body a bloodboard. Just now, it seems the image is actually 2 heads facing in opposite directions. 2 nest heads in need of a bird neurologist. The twig scan is awry. Do fowl beat their chicks, turn wings into weapons? Tilly, from the darkest of backgrounds, the objects you've painted seem to move calmly toward the light.
Aphasia. Words are heavy, too. They're like stones that skip across the pond and sink. They do their job, but they sink. Even words on the page, which don script vests, eventually sink. Language is a catastrophe. Icebergs beneath every vowel, big wave prosody. The pond, that wordless thing, is being stoned. How to mourn what was lost without pitying the person who has lost it. How to see aphasia as a seed, wind-blown, to be sure, and uncertain, yet aloft. The birds, if you must know, prefer the air. Let the steerage brain come forth as the hull is gashed. The senses are like Puerto Rico or the District of Columbia. No taxation without representation. King George sits in the frontal lobes. Consider it practice. In the afterlife, I'm told, we will need to love one another without words, without stones.
Rhubarb Forcer. It sounds almost cruel, but your light-excluded plant will then desperately reach out in search of light, producing smooth, pale stems in the process. A gardening website. Maybe this is how we should make basketball players, or adults in general. Put a child in an overturned pot and seal it off completely, like a panic room or dungeon. Let nothing out or in. Soon he'll be shooting threes like pasty Bill Walton, and dunking too. With my son, we interrupted the process. We pulled him from a dank foster care closet and exposed him to the sun. A wild child, a kind of rhubarb houser, made brittle by light and language and the doubts of others. Pale, stretched stems are so much sweeter than their ordinary counterparts. Perfect, you might say, for pie or people crumble. Tether. Yellow, even in its exhaustion, says tomorrow. The lily hits the hay, it lies down not with the lamb, but with the loam. A full day is a full day. Even balloons rest at night, offering their helium to the fields. Everything must be lighter, everything must have a chance to float. What is mist but the mind of earth? The wind, if it comes, can bluster all it wants. The promise of spring has 1,000 tethers.
The King's Stable. Like spotted coach dogs from the region of Dalmatia, trained to attack highwaymen who rob and sometimes murder nobles, these eggs have journeyed from castle to canvas, or, in this case, board. Can you make out the lady riding beside them? Early breeders of Dalmatians knew nothing of their predisposition to deafness, and, of course, labeled them unintelligent. In urban settings, Dalmatians served as firefighting escorts, bow-wow bouncers clearing the streets as a brigade moved through. They've guarded just about everything, the King's Stable and the beer wagon out on delivery, yet somehow, these dogs, these eggs, have failed to guard themselves.
Head bulge. Enough darkness. It can become an addiction, not like alcohol or drugs, like exercise. You think it's unqualifiedly good for you to be compassion fit, feeling superior, and so you sculpt yourself, your head bulge. You lift the free weights of human sorrow. You run on the black treadmill of outrage. When you're hot and sweaty, you climb aboard the elliptical, that horsey carousel, and ride it like a planet. Oh, the shape of justice and illusory progress. All the while you sneak glances at the muscle man, Atlas, in the corner. Take these pears, a friend says. Look at the juice running down my chin. A tree worked just as hard for joy.